that we're not really here, and it's nice to be back at home after we've had a few away games. Now, we are certainly on a roll in the Premiership. We're also through to the last 16 of the Champions League, and we've already booked another trip down to Wembley for another cup final. You can see the players arriving now to the stadium, and there he is, Kevin De Bruyne. Oh, I love that man. And of course, we all love Pep Guardiola as well. So yes, we are on a roll here, but we certainly are greedy, and we want this trophy too. And we're talking today about the FA Cup. Now, the first hurdle in our quest for another trophy is Birmingham City, and we are kicking off in just about an hour's time in today's FA Cup third round fixture. Now, third round games, they can be quite bruising, they can be quite tough, so you need to be solid at the back. And so today on the sofa, we've made sure we've got a solid defence. And joining me is Richard Dunne and Andy Morrison. Good afternoon, gents. Richard, it's lovely to have you back. You were saying this is your first time when we've been playing at home, so you're going to get to see the game properly today.
Yeah, I've been watching it on TV an awful lot, and you don't really see how different it is in the game. So I'm interested to see how the atmosphere affects the tempo of the game and stuff. But just happy to get out and being able to watch a match is brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a few home games together now, Andy, haven't we? And how are you finding when you go out to sit outside and watch the game? The silence still is I still find it weird.
Yeah, it's almost deafening. It's a strange one. I was speaking to Richard before and saying it's better at home, the atmosphere, because there is something generated by the television. But it's very, very strange sat out there. It just feels like a pre-season friendly game, and it must be difficult for the players to an extent to have to keep raising themselves game after game after game to try and generate their own energy.
Of course, we know we're very privileged to be here to be able to watch the game, especially when we're in such incredible form as well. Richard, things feel really good at this club right now. We look really solid at the back. I mean, really solid at the back. We're scoring lots of goals. We're on this incredible. We've not lost now since I think it's the 20th of November when we played Tottenham. Winning in the league, the Champions League, the Carabao Cup, and then hopefully today as well. But things feel good. Yeah,
and it's hard to put your finger on why they started the season and the results, and I suppose weren't what we expected, but the performances were all right. They just lacked that little bit of intensity, and you see it now over the last few weeks how the intensity has risen, and it's noticeable. Previously you would think they're doing all right. Why they're not winning? Why they're not winning? And now you can see why it's almost like he's held them back a little bit, knowing that there's not been a pre-season, there's an awful lot of games in a short period. So I was like, right, let's pace ourselves through this season. And over the last few weeks, he seems to have just let the handbrake off, and they've really gone for it. And the goals have started to flow. The defence looks as solid as that, and that we've seen in the few years that Pep's been here. So it's very positive at the moment. And the one problem, I suppose, was scoring goals. We were creating chances, but even they're flowing in now, and they're coming from all different players from different angles, and it's really positive, and that's what you want to see. I mean, the FA Cup sometimes has changes and the team isn't as strong as normally, but hopefully today it's a strong side. I mean, they go out and perform as they have been and keep that intensity high.
Yeah, definitely. We're currently seeing every single goal that we've scored since November. And like you say there, it's really interesting that, and you can witness it there for yourselves, everybody. And as you've seen, the goals are coming from all over the pitch at the minute. We'll have the team news really soon. And obviously, we're really hopeful that Jesus might be back after obviously being out due to COVID for the last few weeks. But we've been scoring goals from all over the place. Now, Andy, obviously, FA Cup third round, I absolutely adore the FA Cup, especially the FA Cup third round, because there's always a kind of hope that there's going to be some sort of giant killing, obviously that doesn't involve us from somewhere else. I'm looking over at Tottenham today, hoping that Maine are going to get them in the third round. But third round FA Cup fixtures, how would you approach this game today, given obviously what Richard said as well, we've had so many games lately. How would you be approaching this with your managerial head on?
Well, I think, Manchester City have to win the game. There's no way they would look at it as an easy afternoon, so he'll the manager will go with probably the strongest that he can possibly go with. And obviously it's a trophy, and as you said, there's a Wembley appearance at the end of it. Normally a day out for the fans, which it's not that at the moment. But I think the identity of the club now is success. And I think over many years now, we've done that year after year. And it's expected for us to go into the latter stages in every competition. So, he'll be going about it in a way where it's a must-win game for him. And I think that's the way he approaches every game. Like I say, the DNA that's been ingrained in the club now over a period, especially since Pep come in, is we have to win games of football. And eventually that gets you to finals.
Yeah, and we know that the Carabao Cup final is, of course, April the 25th, and we know that they moved it back from the normal sort of end of February date in the hope that fans might be back. So hearing you say fans at Wembley there, I'm so hopeful that we might get fans back at Wembley. But cup runs, Richard, are so important as well. Obviously, as fans, we absolutely love them. We love the FA Cup. We've got such an amazing history with the FA Cup, which we are going to talk about in a minute. But in terms of for players, how important is a cup run for morale and for momentum? We always hear them talking about momentum.
Yeah, it's huge, and you look at City now, and they've started over the last couple of months. They've started to raise that intensity and that level of play that they've been doing. So you don't want to come to an FA Cup tie and just all of a sudden just take a step back and take it easy and lose that momentum that they've gained over the last couple of months. So it's important, and it gives players in the squad an opportunity to play. And if Man City make changes, they don't generally weaken the team because the squad is so strong. It's always a strong side that they do put out. So, but winning games just breeds confidence, breeds success, and that's what they're all about here at Man City. So that's the important thing. And wherever 11 is out in the field, there won't be any, you're only playing because of this. It's an opportunity for that player to take his chance and to stake his place in the first team. So it'll be important. It's what Pep wants. He's born on success. He just loves it. He loves cups. He loves trophies, and this is a great opportunity again because the history, like you say, since he's been here in the FA Cup is really good.
We were just seeing Vinny lifting the FA Cup there, and it gives me goosebumps just looking back on it. Now we're talking about in terms of morale, Andy, but also winning trophies in terms of sort of for the players. Players want to be at a club where they're going to win trophies. So having these great cup runs and bringing these silverware home, it's great for the players as well. And if we're thinking we want to keep the world's best players here, we want to keep winning trophies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all top players would say that come the end of the career in the modern day, they're going to be financially pretty well off, regardless if they've been successful or not. But to actually, sit and know that you've got FA Cups, you've got league championships, you've got league cups, and be able to reflect on that later on, I think that's something that players will be extremely proud of. And, any player who's at the very top level, want trophies, and they want to be able to say, this is what I've achieved in my career.
And do they want another day at Wembley as well? Does that kind of cross your mind? Because as fans, as we mentioned, we want the day at Wembley, but as players, is sort of playing at Wembley still have that really sort of special feeling, do you think?
I only played there a couple of times, so it's hard for me to give an opinion on it. But I think the fact you get to a final wherever it is, obviously Wembley being the pinnacle of English football, is somewhere special for them to turn out on that day, into the tunnel and everything that goes with it. But, for me, it's the intensity of the day because, it never really, when we played in the playoff final, I was there for a charity shield with Blackburn. It's not really the fact it's Wembley, it's the occasion, and the fact that you want to win a game of football.
Well, we know that we've already got one trip to Wembley booked this season. As we mentioned, that will be April the 25th in the final of the Carabao Cup. And we got there because we beat them, our old arch rivals. They were trying to say that they were the best team in Manchester again, just because they were slightly above us by a couple of points in the league for a few weeks. But no, we well and truly put them back in their box. Richard, Wednesday night's game, do you think that was our best performance of the season?
I think it's up there with the Chelsea performance. I think the way they controlled the game, they started really with a high press and put United on the back foot to start with, and then ended up dominating that first half. And what they seem capable of doing, Man City now, is they're able to press for a certain amount of time, get the lead, and then defend as a block. And with that solid base that they've got defensively, they look really strong. But going forward, they're starting to look dangerous again. Starting to look like we're threatening teams in behind, and people are running, and people want to get into the box. And I think Wednesday night against United was a sign of where the two clubs are. United have improved and they've progressed, but they're nowhere near challenging a league title like Man City will. And I think over the last couple of weeks, you started to see, well, who's now the favourites for the league? and you would have to put Man City nearly top of that table at the moment because the form is so good.
And I think as well, a couple of weeks ago, Andy, when we were on together and we had the game against West Brom here, obviously, which was 1-1. And I said to you, oh, Andy, I don't think we're going to win the league now. Oh, I don't think we are. And you were like, no, Natalie, we are still in there. You just knew, didn't you? You were just more confident than me then.
I just think the way the season's panned out so far, it's strange. It's not like anything we've seen in the past. The last 3 or 4 years, it's been sort of 90-plus points going towards 100. Teams are drawing games of football. Teams are losing that unexpected game. So it's slightly different this season. And for us to be, I don't know what it is now, just a few points off with the game in hand. And I said if we can get to end of January and be within a couple of points at the top of the league, I believe we can go on and win it because so many players are coming into form, players are returning, so it's in a really good phase at the moment. And as Richard just said, I think we are the favourites along with Liverpool. I can't see anything outside that top two that will win it this year.
And the confidence we must have got as well, because we went to Old Trafford and just dictated the game from the first minute all the way through. That must be incredibly confidence boosting to be able to do that, to go to the home of your nearest rivals and dictate the game. Yeah,
absolutely. I think we're always going to dominate possession. I think it's the identity of the club now. They'll boss the game in that area. The key is always, the result will always be a reflection of our finishing. Because even in the games earlier in the season where we weren't winning by great margins, we're still dominating the game. And it's that early opportunity that we get, those couple of chances in that first 10 minutes. You score them, it puts games to bed. And then obviously when you get the second one, which we didn't get against West Brom, the key is the second, because then the opposition have a decision, do we stay in or do we try and get back into the game? You try and get back into the game against Manchester City, you're in trouble because you're going to leave yourself wide open.
Absolutely, and I've got a big grin on my face, Andy, as well, because we're seeing the complete team celebrations there. Look, every one of them is over there like a real unit, like a real team. There seems to be a real connection in that celebration, Richard.
Yeah, and I think it's because the team sort of went under the radar to start with. Everyone was really happy to throw stuff at them and say they're not performing well, they're not doing this, they're not happy, and all that sort of thing. And they've built all that confidence and that sort of siege mentality themselves within the group and started to believe, right, well, we'll show them. And with that confidence, they knew they were good players, they knew they were a good side, and it was just a matter of time. And it seems, I've said before, but it seems like they've almost taken the handbrake off a little bit and just said, right, well, let's go and start to, because Christmas is the most important time of the year, when you can pick up points, you can get to the Carabao Cup final, and they've hit form at the ideal time, and they look like they're getting stronger and stronger, and that shows in how they're feeling as a group. They're all together, they're all in it together, they're living in a bubble together almost, they're spending lots and lots of time together. So it's important that there's no friction within the group, and you could see there that there's not. It's just positivity, and they believe they can keep improving and keep going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. The celebration there was so, and on the night as well, it was just so touching to just see how happy they all were. And there was a brilliant video that I saw on Twitter, Andy. I don't know if you saw it, but it was one of Fernandinho's family members had videoed him walking through the door when he'd got home after the game. And all of his family, if you've not seen it, you need to go and have a look. I think it was on his Instagram, or I retweeted it on Twitter. And all his family go nuts when he walks in the house, and they are jumping all over him, and he's hugging them all. And, at 35 years old, there's, some people might have written him off, but Fernandinho is looking solid and incredible. And that goal, wow.
I know, I always smile whenever he's mentioned, because he is, 6-7 years ago, I mentioned the importance of him and just how pivotal he is to everything that City do. His ability to break up attacks very early on the counter-attack and transition, and he's he's like I said, I've spoke fondly of him for many seasons because I know how good he is, and I know the importance of that role. Sometimes, Silva and De Bruyne, we look at their quality in the final third, but as a defensively minded player and played in that, I understand the importance of these key elements in your team, and yeah, he's terrific, and it's great to see him. And he's lean, he's as fit as ever going to be, and just forgetting about the age 35, is the performances are the same, with the distances he's covering, if his impact on the team is as it has been, then the age is irrelevant, because his knowledge of the game, and there's a steeliness there which just goes under the radar. Not that he's contorted face and a shouter like I was, but the way he goes about it, you can't help but respect him as a teammate. And them players will be very, very happy when he's sat in front of the back four, or when it breaks down and Fernandinho's in the team. There's a chance that they're going to stop the attack, or at least force it in the right direction. So intelligent. A player as good as I've ever seen in that holding midfield role.
And 35 is young. Very young. I'd say that in a studio of people older than 35, I'm going to guess. But another sort of totally key player, obviously, and we tend to have 5 or 10 minutes every time on this programme that we talk about Kevin De Bruyne. But in this instance, before the Derby game, people were talking a lot, obviously, about Bruno Fernandes, who's had an incredible impact on United. And people were comparing him. Now, for me, in that game, Kevin De Bruyne just went out there and said, I do my talking on the pitch, I am still the best. And Kevin De Bruyne just completely with the greatest respect, completely outshone him.
Massively. He played in a different role against Chelsea and he looked outstanding, and we all thought he'd play there in the derby, but he dropped back into his midfield role. But he's still the most important player on the pitch, and I think the difference between the two players is it's not all about goals for Kevin De Bruyne. It's about assists, it's about playing as a team. And I think Fernandes, he makes an impact by scoring goals, but apart from that, he's not as creative maybe as Kevin. But De Bruyne is just on another level to any midfielder in the Premier League. I think he's an outstanding player, and it doesn't matter what sort of position on the pitch. It's an opportunity to score the goal, because he can set up a pass from anywhere, and it's there's no like stepping back from him. He just seems to improve, and he looks like he's in great form again this year. And yeah, he showed it against United why City fans think he's the best in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Showed it against United, showed it against Chelsea when he played in that false 9 position. But let's have a little look at the team news now and try and work out where he's going to be playing today. So your starting 11 for today's FA Cup third round game. In goal, he keeps his place. It's Zach Stefan. And then our defence today is Benjamin Mendy, Ruben Diaz, João Cancelo and Kyle Walker. And then in midfield, we have Rodrigo, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva. And then up front, we've got Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden, and he's back. It's Gabriel Jesus. And then just quickly through the substitutes there, because there is a few interesting names, I think, on the subs bench today as well. We've got Ederson, John Stones, Ilkay Gundogan, Alexander Zinchenko, Fernandinho, and then we've got Liam Delap, Felix Nemetcha, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, and Luke Mbete. So, youth on the bench as well. So immediately sort of looking at that starting lineup with our two defensive experts that we've got here, who do you think is playing in the centre there, Andy, of that? Is it Kyle Walker?
It's a great question. There's periods in the game against United where they've almost become a back three, and Cancelo went into midfield, which was obviously as a block on the turnover. I'm not sure who will be alongside. I know Diaz will be centre half, but it could be Cancelo. I'm going to go for Walker as a setup, and then Cancelo again. I think Walker then, as the game develops, sort of naturally goes towards that right-hand side, and they become a three. And then Cancelo, it's been popping up anywhere on the pitch at times, but on the turnover, when play is sort of stopped a little bit, he definitely drifts back into that right-back position.
And he's having a phenomenal season. He was almost written off by some pundits and fans sort of in the summer, as though he hadn't sort of been proved himself yet. But certainly this season he's come out and he's having, he's definitely up there with one of our best performers of the season. Definitely,
and I think he's made himself one of the most important players in the team. I think whatever fullback plays, one of them is always Cancelo. He's an important player, and I think it takes time to learn Pep's system and to try and fit in, and it's taken him a little bit of time, but now he understands it, and he seems like that player that Pep can trust to go, right, you're going to play right back, but you're also going to play as the number 6 next to Rodri or Fernandinho or whoever, and he has that ability on the ball that he looks like a centre midfielder when he's in there, he looks like a right back when he's there. He's an excellent player, and there was a lot of money spent on him, but you can see why, and he's actually really good to watch. He's exciting. He wants to get forward. He wants to create chances, and he pops up all over the pitch. So he's a valuable asset to City.
Yeah, one of many exciting players that we've got certainly starting today. Again, looking sort of towards the front line there. Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden and Gabriel Jesus back today as well, Andy. We've been finding goals from all over the pitch, but for me, it is great to have a recognised striker back fit in the starting 11.
I think so. there was times on later in the game against in the derby, and it didn't look like we were able to stretch them in behind. We had to work our way up. I think if you've got to recognise 9, as in Jesus, there's always that option to go to him to start with and build up play from there, or to be able to stretch in behind. And he gives that. He's got power. He's got pace. He's very, very strong. So I do like the identity of that, although the false 9, I guess, is something that's becoming more normal at times in games, especially with Pep. But I do like a recognised 9.
Yes, same. Me too. Although, as we say, we're so creative on the pitch, because then you're looking at sort of, now I'm guessing who's going to be in the middle there. Obviously, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, and I'm saying Bernardo Silva, but I don't actually know, because it could be it might be Phil Foden, but who knows? But when you're looking at sort of creativity there, Bernardo Silva was suspended for the game in midweek, but in the Chelsea game, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, he's got so much energy as well, that he brings a lot of intensity to the team, and when he plays and he's given the licence to go and press high, I think the whole team follows him. They all push up, and they win the ball a lot higher up the field. But he's an incredibly skillful player as well when he has the ball, and he'll cause Birmingham all sorts of trouble today. But then you look at the next line with Mahrez, Foden, and Jesus. It's terrifying, I'd imagine, for the Birmingham players in there, just thinking they might take it easy on us today, and then you see that team coming out. It's as strong as that, and then I think it's great for Phil Foden to get another game. He's in a good vein of form at the moment, and playing consistently will definitely help that. And it's he's just a joy to watch, Phil Foden. He's so good. He's so clever in his movements and his ability on the ball that it's great when he's in the team, and it's a great opportunity for us to go and watch him.
Yeah, and a shining light, I bet, as well, to the 4 youth players that are on the bench today as well. They can see him continuing, see that there is a very clear pathway for them to get into the team. There is,
yeah, and it's brilliant, because it's taken Phil a long time to be considered a first team regular or a first team starter, but in the youth team, and he's probably the best player by a mile, and these lads are looking going, well, it's taken him this bit of time. He's stuck at it. He's worked hard. He's never once said that about not playing or anything like that. He just knuckles down and he progresses, and when he gets his chance, he takes it. And it's the same when the young lads come off the bench today. If they have an opportunity, whether it be 20 minutes or 2 minutes, they have to try and make the most of it, and they can see it with Phil what success he's got out of it. So it's like I say, it's a great example for them.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hoping, in a respectful way, that we come out and we get quite a lot of goals in the first half. So there's more chance for the youth that are on the bench, that we might get to see them perhaps later in the second half.
Yeah, I think it would have to be clear. The result would have to be going the right way. But they've also got to have earned that right to play in the team. And I think that's really important. A big thing for Pep is, we've seen European games where we've qualified, and he still hasn't put the youth in, because to actually have that on your CV, it's got to be earned. It just can't just be thrown out like confetti. It's even to say you've represented Manchester City in an FA Cup game, you have to have worked incredibly hard and earned that reward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So fingers crossed. Let's see if they earn it today, because it would be brilliant to see them. Now, of course, John Stones is not starting today. He's on the bench, but we would be amiss if we did not give a bit of a focus on John Stones and Diaz right now. Obviously, with the 2 gentlemen that are on the sofa with me today. So this is your 5-minute warning. We're just going to be basically purring about how good they are for the next 5 minutes. So I hope that you will all enjoy that. So right now, Richard, is there a better, straight in, nice simple question, is there a better partnership in the Premiership, or indeed across Europe right now, than John Stones and Ruben Diaz?
I don't think there is in the Premier League. I think in Europe they won't be far off being the best around at the moment. I think they complement each other really well. Diaz is obviously a more traditional centre-half, but with modern abilities. He's good on the ball, but he's strong in the air. He clears the ball out of danger when it needs to be. And then we've known John Stones for a long time now and what he's capable of in his pass. And every time he plays and he's on the ball and he's striding forward, he just looks like a Rolls Royce just going through the middle. He's just perfect in how his movement and his passing. And previously there's been slight errors and that little doubt, has he got a mistake in him, and he seems to have raised that now and grown up. And it's very easy for people to judge centre halves when they're 23, 24 and say, oh, he's not good enough. He's not. John Stones is good enough. He's proved it in recent times, and every young centre half makes mistakes, and he always will all the way through his career. But it's not. it doesn't define him. The ability that he's got is insane, and the two of them together look like a really strong partnership, and the results and the clean sheets prove that.
And I feel like the mental ability he must have, because like you say, there'd been some errors and people had essentially been writing him off. People had been questioning if he had a future here, and he's come back this season, found some sort of mental strength, and he's it almost feels like some sort of redemption. He's come back out and he said, no, I've still got this in me. I'm still one of the best defenders, in the country, and he's showing that.
Yeah, he's just matured. As a centre-half, it takes a long time. You look at like Phil Foden and centre-forwards and other people like that who can take risks and take chances in games and not be blamed for goals or blamed for losing games because they've missed a chance or whatever. At centre-half, if you make a mistake, it's the end. You know what I mean? Everyone thinks that's the end of it. So John Stones, when you watch him 3 or 4 years ago, you go, wow, he's an unbelievable footballer, but he does make a mistake, so maybe he's not reliable at this level. But now, he's like I say, he's erased those mistakes, he's moved on, and he looks brilliant. His strength of character as well is something that's shone through, and I'm delighted for him because he deserves it. He's done well, and I'm sure the next time the England squad's announced, he'll be one of the first names in it. I
was thinking about that yesterday. He's got to be, surely, because he's in the absolute form of his life at the minute. And do you think, Andy, obviously he's had incredible, as we've said, ability to come back, but he's linked up with Ruben Diaz, who's come in the summer, and I always forget how young he is. I think he's 23, Ruben Diaz, and he looks like he's been playing, top level football his whole life. They together have they just seem to have clicked. Do you think it's kind of as simple as that? They're just clicking together. I mean, how does a top class partnership kind of form and develop?
I think one of the main points with John Stones to start with is a period of games. His injury, his catastrophic injury list over an 18-month period where he was out for maybe 8 to 10 weeks with a hamstring, be back for 2 weeks, and then a groin would go. And I know myself how hard it is to actually get up to speed. It takes a lot of games to actually get yourself back to the level you need to be. And when you're lacking fitness and game time, mistakes will creep in. The fact that I think the two of them have coincided with the team coming into form as well, collectively. Everything looks a lot more sharper and brighter, and I think Pep always talks about the speed of them moving the ball quicker, but it's also the detail on the pass. It's to the right side of the body. Pep goes down into the literally 2 inches and yards where he wants a ball played, and it takes, you break the lines with the quality of the pass. So I think the team, have been so much sharper, and them two have just managed to slip in and play very well together. Diaz is, like you say, we've talked about Cancelo earlier, taking a period of time to fit in. He just seems to have dropped straight in and looks like he's been playing in the Premier League all his life. Every attribute you need to be a top defender. He's quick, he's comfy on the ball, he makes intelligent decisions, he's very good in the air. Everything you need to be at the very top, he has it. So does John Stones. But John's not had that period where he's managed to get 10, 12, 15 games. That's the key. It was always a couple of games, a mistake, an injury, and I went on record as saying that I still believe that with games, with the qualities he has, he is England's best centre-half. And gladly now that it's starting to show that, that I was right what I said.
Andy, you're proving right quite a lot on this show, I'm noticing. I'm going to have to start writing them down, I think. Ruben Diaz, though, at 23 as well, and obviously we have 2 former captains with us today as well. He looks like a leader on that pitch. He is speaking to everybody. He is, he just looks so solid and so young. How would you be assessing his kind of leadership skills at the moment, Richard?
I think his leadership skills and his organisational skills will have helped John Stones. He may be younger than him, but that's just something that's natural within him. I think his first interview here was, "I'm a winner, I'm a leader," is what he wanted to do, and that's what he's gone out and proven on the pitch. But I think when you're a centre-back and you play for Man City, it's very easy to be drawn into I need to play the ball out, I need to find the perfect pass all the time. He is a centre-half of old-school sort of mentality, defend first and play second. He gets a lot of the ball, so he gets a lot of opportunity to pass the ball and play it, but when it's down the line or it's in behind him, his first thought is, I need to get this away from the goal. And I think that simplicity brought into the team spreads to John Stones. If he's in danger, he'll clear it now, and he looks like someone that will eventually be the captain of Man City, someone that will lead the team for maybe the next 10 years, and finally someone that you can say, well, there's a worthy replacement for Vincent Kompany.
Yes, absolutely. In terms of that partnership, we're talking a lot, obviously individually they're both incredible, but it seems to be the partnership that's really sort of had that real spark of genius. In terms of your career, Andy, who did you have the best partnership with, do you think, and why do you think?
Well, I had a good period with Gerard, obviously, Gerard Viekens, in the second division, and then we started the following season, and then Richard Jobson came in for a few games. But I think if you complement each other, where it was clear my identity was to go and attack, be aggressive on the front foot. And, Gerard was very clever. He read the game, he covered round. And again, that complements each other. I played a few games with Dunne, and there's different qualities that centre-halves have. The ideal partnership is you can both run, you can both head a ball, you can both defend, you can both play. That's ideal. And I think in the Premier League, and I think at City, the defenders have to have that. If there was any occasions last year where I just thought, Otamendi was incredible for the club, but towards the end was left a little bit exposed at times, and then that lack of pace really showed. These two can run. And so can the rest of the detail and description of a centre half at City has to be able to defend and run, and be happy to deal with one-on-ones. And that was probably not my greatest strength when I played.
Now, you led me in very, very nicely there. It's like I set that up, Andy. You mentioned that you had played with Richard before. And in fact, one of those games that you did play with Richard was nearly 20 years to the day. Not that I'm trying to make anybody feel old. I was there at that game, I imagine. So nearly 20 years ago, this Saturday, the 6th of January, 2001. And amazingly, we played a game against Birmingham in the FA Cup, in which both of these gents played together. Now, even more amazingly than that, one of these two scored on that day as well. I'll let you all have a guess at home quickly. If you said Andy Morrison, you were right. Andy Morrison opened the scoring on that game against Birmingham. Can you remember that goal, Andy?
I can't remember it this week because it's been mentioned and I've had a look at it, and it's been on YouTube, and and it's a header from a corner. Obviously, I had to make good contact on it because the goat would have got a touch on it somewhere in the box if I hadn't. It'd been such a good
some body part, yes.
He would have nicked it off me, but it was a great. And then obviously Darren Huckabee has gone and got the second. It was a great game, and one I fondly remember because I was coming back from injury. I'd been out for a long period with a knee injury again. It was my first game back, and it was great to score.
Yeah, we got the goat there getting a penalty as well. That second goal by Huckabee as well was incredible. That run was amazing. I remember being a fan back there, and we didn't see runs like that too often. But of course, we're 3-0 up at this point, and then going into the second half, Birmingham come back, make it 3-1, and then Birmingham come back and make it 3-2. And you were saying, Andy, you remember the last 20 minutes, that they were really going for us.
Yeah, it was. It was just, and that's what the cup brings. You can afford to go and have a real go. I think you see a lot of teams, especially coming to the Etihad, won't want to lose 5, 6, 7. So at 2-0 down, they'll actually sit in. Whereas Birmingham went and had a go. It's a cup match, so they've got to try and find a way to get back into the game. And it was wide open the last sort of 10, 15 minutes, and we were hanging on. But a great result, which is always, always the end product in a cup game.
Now, you didn't score in the game, Richard, which means you might not totally remember it. I'm not sure, it might have been a key game in your career. Do you remember anything about it? And if not, do you at least remember how it was playing next to this guy who did score?
I don't remember that game, but I think we might have gone on to play Liverpool, possibly in the next round. At Anfield, it was me, yourself, and maybe Spencer Price. We played in the back three, and Andy was a leader. Andy was, like you're talking about Diaz now, someone who can organise and who can lead, and Andy was brilliant at that, and it's but just games like that, FA Cup games are brilliant. They excite you, and there's sort of, you look at the first game of the season and you want to find out who you're playing in the FA Cup, and it's maybe lost a little bit of its spark in recent years, but it's It's brilliant, and it gives teams the opportunity to dream, and Birmingham will come here today dreaming of winning and causing one of the biggest upsets in cup football, and that's why City can't take it lightly. They have to go out, they have to perform, and they have to be professional about what they're doing.
Yeah, and you will know probably more about Birmingham than most of us, because obviously you played for Aston Villa for a while, so you'll understand obviously the rivalry as well. We've been talking about our derby. What was that Birmingham derby like when you played? Did you have any derbies when you were at Villa? What was that like in comparison to the Manchester one?
My debut there was St Andrews, so we played
in a derby.
The first game. Yeah, we were all away on international duty. We all came back on the Friday, done some set pieces, and then played them at 12 o'clock the next day. And it was like, right, get on with it, sort of thing. But inside the stadium, the atmosphere was very, very hostile. The Birmingham fans are strong followers of their own team, and want the best. And I remember my wife walking out and towards the game, and she felt scared because the intensity of the rivalry, So they've a strong group of fans, and probably where we've seen them this season, they're 18th in the league. They've struggled a little bit, and possibly because of the home form, because of not having supporters there to cheer them on. So it's a blow for them, but it's a big club, Birmingham, and with strong traditions, and they want to believe they can come here and win, and they want to put a show on. They want to impress the fans who are at home and not able to get to the games at the moment. But it's a tough ask for them today.
Yeah, 33 places different in the league today between us and them, and they are without a win in their last 6 games as well. Is it almost a free hit for them today, Andy? Is there no pressure on them? Really, nobody expects them to win, so they can just go out and play, or is there still obviously pressure due to the fact that they're on this bad run anyway?
Oh, I don't think they'll want to, turn up and let themselves down and let the club down. But it's a huge ask today, and I've looked at, they've conceded 10 goals in the last 4 games and scored 1. So they're not coming into the game in any kind of form. City are absolutely flying, and I fear for Birmingham today. I'm hoping proven right in many ways, but this is a huge ask for them today to turn up here. They're going to be absolutely dominated from start of the game. Karanka's going to have to come up with some sort of formation to try and nullify City, but that's very, very difficult. And if City gets 1 or 2 up in the first 15 to 20 minutes, it could be a really, really tough afternoon for them. And you look at the team sheets and games like this, and people will say, they want to be playing against Jesus, they want to play against the best players. I didn't want to play against them. I'm not interested in playing against the best players. I'm interested in winning. I want an easy afternoon. I do not want to on my CV to say I've lost 8-0, but I played against. No, I'm not interested. So they'll look at that team sheet, and there'll be an element of fear, and it'll be like, wow, but they'll front it up. They'll go out and they'll stay in the game as long as they can. But I fear it could be a tricky afternoon for them.
What is a good performance from them today? You look at it and you think, well, if they go out and they keep the score down to 1 or 2-0, are they going to be take at them from that? Or they don't touch the ball? Is that a good performance for them? I think for them, they need to try and gain some confidence. Like Andy says, their results recently are really poor. I've seen them against Derby recently, and they got hammered, and they looked devoid of confidence, absolutely going nowhere. So for them, they want to come out and try and get on the ball, but they, like Andy says, if they open up, they're in serious trouble.
The Birmingham boss Karanka actually has got a record, a decent record against us actually, Andy. I don't know if you knew, but in the FA Cup in the 4th round in 2015, he managed the Middlesbrough team that beat us. So maybe that'll give him a tad. I
think his identity is defensive. I think he's a counter-attacking manager who wants to sit in and be very solid and very organised. So that'll give them some sort of framework to start from. But if they go behind and then they start pushing on and they start trying to get back into the game, City's it's not an identity you'd give to City to be a good counter-attacking team, because we press so high. But we've shown so many times that if a team leave themselves exposed, and if these today get 2 or 3 players beyond the ball, and leave themselves wide open with De Bruyne and players like that, the choice of pass is so correct at the first moment that we open up teams for fun, and you'll see that today with these the chances we'll get when they have a corner or they have an attack and they get 2 or 3 players too far beyond the ball on that turnover. We will have a shot on goal today, and that's what the manager's got to balance up today going into this game.
I often watch, I say on this programme, YouTube channels by the fans of the opposition team that were playing. I enjoy them. Some of them are really good, and I think always a good research tool. And I watched one last night in which the Birmingham fan channel predicted a scoreline of 10-0, and that wasn't to them, Richard. So that came from their own fans, who obviously must just be feeling completely disheartened at the minute. Is that realistic?
If they come out and try and make a statement here, then they could be in serious trouble. They have to come and they have to play a solid game, and for them a good result is keeping it below 3 or 4 or wherever it is, so 10-0 is a bit of an ask, I think, for City today. It's not too I suppose pleasing for their own players to hear that and stuff like that, but that's the fear that teams have coming here. Man City are a side that they don't take the foot off the gas, and it's not like, all right, we're playing Liverpool this week and we're playing Birmingham the next week, so we can take it easy. And that every game is as important as the last or the next, and they always try and put maximum effort into it. So if City do score 3 or 4 early on, they won't stop at that. They'll keep going. And one of the things Andy said about the young lads getting on the pitch, they have to earn that, and it whether it's 5, 6, 7-0. Pep always sticks to the strongest team and what's available and who's available, and if it gets out of hand, Birmingham could be in serious trouble.
Yeah, and I have to just say again, that's what I saw on a Birmingham fan channel. That's not me. I'd be very happy right now with 3-0, 2-0, 4-0, anything. A win into the 4th round, into the hat, as they say. Now, we're going to have a little look at the social media tweets that we've been getting from you guys. So it's #WNRH. We love you getting in contact. We love you just telling us what you think about the game, showing us how you're watching the game. So some of your tweets from today. We've got the first one there from Richard Carter, and he says there's only one shirt that should be worn during the game, King Colin, and a picture of his number 8 shirt. Yes, we totally agree. Thank you for that, Richard. And one from Crookie, who says, come on, Man City, let's have a nice win today. We want to go to Wembley. In fact, anywhere would be good. Yes, totally understand. And there's a brilliant picture there. Oh, and it is a little girl holding a silver FA Cup trophy, which I love. And then we've got a message there from Kavita, and it says, we might be in different parts of the world today, but we are cheering for the same team. And I hope I got your pronunciation right, Kavita. Fingers crossed there. And a brilliant picture of a group of fans all holding a Manchester City scarf. Thank you for your tweet. Thank you for watching from around the world as well. And a message from Stephen Summer. He says, good luck, Man City. Let's make sure our name is in the hat for Monday's draw. Yes, I agree. Loving your wallpaper there as well, Stephen. Lovely roses there. Loving that wallpaper. And then we've got Samim. Again, I really hope I pronounced your name right there, Samim. And he says, come on, City. And it's a picture of him when he was inside the stadium with a City flag. Thank you. So as always, get your tweets into us. We do love reading them. I like seeing how you're watching the game. See if you've got some flags up in the background or something. So you might have been wondering as well, I haven't mentioned it as yet, but there has been a bit of a shiny trophy sitting just in front of us here all this time. Now, some of you at home might be thinking, oh, they've got a replica FA Cup. No. If we could pan the camera around now to show you, we could show you a burly security man who is here with the FA Cup, because ladies and gentlemen, this is an extremely expensive, extremely rare. We are so chuffed to have it in the studio. This is one of the original, if not the original FA Cup that we won back in 1904. Now, you might have heard in the press, you might have read on the website this week, we have acquired this cup that we had won back in 1904, and the club has donated it back to be housed in the National Football Museum here in Manchester. So when the world is back to normal, you can go and see it and have a look for yourself. We are not allowed to touch it. We have been warned here. The security man keeps glaring at us. We are not to touch the beautiful 1904 cup. So recently as well, City TV, they have started to make a documentary about the 1904 Cup, because it's actually a really, really special trophy. And the 1904 win was a really special time for football in Manchester. So here's a little bit more about that documentary that we've got coming up.
How do you trace a club's success back to its very beginning? Can it ever be just one object? This is a story of Manchester City's 1904 FA Cup victory. A moment that changed not just our football club, but the city of Manchester. Before 93-20, Poznan's, bananas in the crowd, the Ballet on Ice, Mercer, 84,000 people at Main Road. There was this, a success that sparked the Manchester City we see today. With this trophy, I want to show you the moment this city turned blue. The catalyst for a legacy and a heritage which shapes Manchester City Football Club 126 years and counting. This is the story of what it meant then and today. With a little help from those that flourished because of that success back in 1904. Manchester's first trophy. And it was, by the way.
I love that. Manchester's first trophy. Hey, for a club with no history, we certainly got a lot of history. So that is a brilliant documentary. You'll be able to get that on City Plus very soon. So the key thing from that, gents, is that they consider the 1904 win really important because at the time, this city was rugby mad. And it was, they believe, winning the FA Cup in 1904 turned the sort of tides. Can you imagine a time when this city was more into rugby than it was to football, Andy?
No, I can't. We just identify, Manchester as football. But again, we're talking about the importance of today's game, and you go back over 100 years, and we're talking about a cup that City won a long, long time ago. So again, it magnifies the importance of today. That in 100 years' time, hopefully, we're talking about, winning the FA Cup this year. So it's so special, and again, ingrained in the club's history.
And it is wonderful at this club that we are proud of our history. We focus on our history. We love talking about it. We love making documentaries. That's a really special thing about this club, isn't it, Richard?
Yeah, it's very important to remember always where you've come from, and I think it's an amazing gesture by the club to have bought this cup and keep it safe and give it back for people to be able to see in the National Museum. And it, like you say, it is history. I think we were looking at it earlier. 1872 is the first time it was used. So it's an amazing piece of English football heritage, and yeah, it's brilliant that the club have looked after it.
And it is just sitting right there. And as I keep saying, there is a security guard right here with us today. When I walked in, I was like, what's going on today? Then I was like, okay, the FA Cup is here. So no touching, but I will be getting a selfie later on with it. So we hope that you're all getting ready, set up at home to watch the game. It's kicking off in about 10-15 minutes now. And as always, we really wish that you were here with us. We can't wait to have you all back in the stadium. But for every home game this season, we are still having a junior citizen of the match. And today, that junior citizen is Jack, and Jack is 12 years old.
Hello everyone, my name is Jack. I'm 12 years old from West Sussex. I am the junior citizen for this afternoon's game against Birmingham. Come on, City!
Yes, Jack. We love that enthusiasm. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jack. You enjoy the game today as well. Now, one of my favourite parts. Have you done Guess the Blue yet, Andy? Have you played that? Because you're doing quite well on predictions and things.
I have, yes, but I was miles out on the first
okay,
one.
Great. Have you had the fun yet of playing this?
No.
Great. So this is our game, Guess the Blue. So we're going to pop up a City player on the screen for everybody to have a look at, but we've slightly blurred it, and you've got to try and work out who it is. Now, we really have had some horrendous guesses from our guests on the sofa this season. So anything goes. Right, let's have a look. Who do you think this ex-City player is? Okay, so the clues I'm taking there is the shirt had white sleeves, blue bodice, white sleeves. And I feel like was that an Eidos shirt maybe? Yeah. You feeling that?
I've got it.
Okay, right, hold on. Don't tell us your guesses yet. Don't tell us. Right, you've got until half-time to have a think. We'll look at it again at half-time. You can give us your guesses. Then at full-time, I'll tell you who it is. I actually have no idea. But at home, we'd like you to have a little guess as well. So you can hashtag us WNRH. Who was that? Come on, who was that? Give us your guesses today. Are you totally stumped?
I have an idea, but then as soon as he said he knew it, I thought.
I was convinced the last time, and I was so far off. So, I've got an inkling.
Okay. Right, we'll get your guesses there at half-time. I have no inkling. Nobody actually tells me as well. I get to try and play along as well. Then at full-time, I'll find out as well. So we are sort of 5-10 minutes now away from kick-off. Gents, can I do that horrible thing where I ask you to try and predict the result today? I feel like you've been good at this lately, Andy. the score predictions. Yeah, right. I'm going to start with you first. Then, what are you thinking today?
I'm going 6-0. Yeah, I'm going to just stick with my original 6-0. I think if we score early and we maintain the tempo and a couple of changes to freshen things up later on, I think it could be a very good day.
I would definitely take that right now. Richard, what are you thinking score-wise?
I'm going to go 4-0. I think Birmingham will come here with a game plan to try and shut up shop and try and keep it as the score as low as they possibly can. I think Karanka's quite a defensive coach in anyway, so it's for them. Yeah, I think 4-0 for City will be a good result.
Okay, I'm just going to go in the middle, split the difference. I'm going to say 5-0, but I'm going to be very happy as long as we are in the hat for the draw on Monday. So the kickoff is very soon. And just before we do finish the show today, obviously, I just want to touch again on the really sad news that we had as a club this week of the passing of our absolute king, our absolute legend, Colin Bell. And I just wanted to, while we had the gents here, just ask them for their sort of memories, their sort of thoughts. How did you feel when you heard the sad news, Andy?
Yeah, it was a real shock. And, I've been fortunate over the last few years to have spent time with Colin on match days. I'm going around and, mixing with the fans and just being in his presence and seeing the aura that he had, amongst fans was incredible. And, I'd often ask them when Colin had left, I'd say, just how good was he? And you'd see people actually, like, their face would light up and smile. And, it's hard to get footage, on YouTube of that period of time. But the smile and the warmth that people have when they're talking about the time, when Colin played was remarkable. And it made me realise and, just what an incredible, as he is, as you said, the king. And, and it was... The most incredible thing for me was how humble Colin was. He would actually shade away from that adulation that fans would show. He'd actually shy away from it slightly, and that made him, for me, even more impressive human being.
Oh, absolutely. I think of so many tributes that I've read and heard this week, beautiful tributes, and humble is one of the words that keeps coming up. Did you have, were you lucky enough to have met him in your career, Richard?
I met him, I only met him a couple of times briefly, but again, an amazing gentleman, just a lovely, lovely guy who wanted to know more about you than tell you about him. He wanted to find out what the club's up to and how the future's going to be. And I'd seen someone this week compare and say, well, if you get De Bruyne, Silva, Bernardo Silva, Toure, and put them together, then you've got Colin Bell. He was such an amazing player, and a player that, now every footballer is idolised, when back then probably not so much, but he would have been the real, like they say now, the king of the club, the king of the football and midfield and everything with it.
Yeah, and like Andy says, what I find so crazy about it is I've always really held Colin Bell in complete awe. The first time I saw him in real life, I thought I was going to faint. Like, I was just so excited. And that was a feeling for a man that I've never seen play in real life. I'd never seen it. I've seen highlights on YouTube, like you say, Andy, and heard what people have said about him and read articles about him, but had never seen him in real life, but still felt that total awe because of what people said about him. And I almost feel like it's a bit sad that there is his talent, some of his goals, some of his, wouldn't have even been filmed, like you said, Andy, and it's just those lucky people that were there that will have got to see them. But we didn't even need to see him live to know what an amazing man he was.
His legend preceded him. Everyone knew who he was. He was never, I don't think he was a person that would come and tell you what he'd done and how he was and everything like that. But his legend preceded him. Everyone respected him. Everyone knew what a special talent he was back in the time. And like you say, it is unfortunate we don't have the clips to show everyone and all his goals and all his passes and stuff like that. But in some way, it's almost better because you can remember him in your own head rather than having to rely on pictures and videos. You can remember him as it was in your own head and your own experiences of it.
The outpouring of love this week has just been phenomenal, and it's been a great opportunity to celebrate his life as well and to celebrate how talented he was and humble, like you say, Andy. And I asked the gents on Wednesday night as well, because you work with a lot of youth players as well, and I asked Jolien on Wednesday if that really is a lesson that a lot of youth players can take from Colin Bell, to be so humble off the pitch, to just enjoy your football. And Jolien sort of said that's not something you can teach. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I think he was a very, like you say, a very humble upbringing in the northeast, and incredibly strong values, and that just came across in the way he conducted himself as a man, and there was always a warmth there, and no long conversations. He was very, very short, and would want to move on very quickly from a situation, but to be able to sit with him. And for me, it was always the people around who were actually transfixed. They'd be looking at him and be nudging each other. It's Colin Bell, and that you understood then just how the man was held, and like I say, it was the humbleness and the way, the warmth that people had around him that really stood out for me.
Yeah, I was definitely one of those people. If you weren't watching on Wednesday, I told the story of my first day working for this club 10 years ago, and I walked into the office, obviously nervous because I love this club. On my first day, I walked in and Colin Bell was just sat there at a table, and I honestly thought I was going to faint. I was like, oh my goodness. So tonight we will be having, this afternoon before the game, we will be having a minute's silence. We're inside the Puma box, inside the Etihad Stadium, and I can hear the music of Right Here, Right Now, which tells me that we are very, very close to kick-off. And before kick-off today, as I said, we will be having that minute's silence. So I do hope that you'll take that opportunity to just have a little think at home about Colin Bell and your memories of him yourself. So yes, long live the King. You're in all our hearts still, Colin, and lots of love. And we're thinking about all of Colin's family as well. So just before we do start the game, gents, we'll just wrap it up today with just some of your final thoughts for the game today. So, Richard, could it be in the hat for the fourth round come Monday?
Yeah, that's the aim today. I think City are in a really good vein of form at the moment, and just want to see it continue today and a good performance, and like you say, get into that draw. Enjoying
the idea of getting out and sitting in the stands there, Andy, and watching this game today.
It'll be great, to just to get out of this period in time and watch a game of football. And yes, if we're maintain the standards over the last few weeks, hopefully, we'll be talking about a very entertaining game at the end.
Yes, absolutely. We'll be here at half-time to give some analysis of the first half, and then full-time as well for hopefully some very positive full-time analysis. So thank you so much for joining us on We're Not Really Here again today. We do hope you've enjoyed the show. And as I said, there will be a minute's silence coming up in which you'll get the chance to just reflect and remember the King, Colin. So we'll see you back here at half-time.